Hi guys, today's lesson is a lesson in charcoal drawing. It's a still life study of fabric. I'm using a cotton white t-shirt with it just draped over a glass. I have it on a tripod, but you could just put it on a table next to you. The lighting is important. We want to be able to see highlights and shadows on the fabric. So I am sitting by a window and I have window light to one side on the subject matter. You're going to need your compressed charcoal as well as your vine charcoal, your kneaded eraser, and let's get started. You're going to start with basically drawing out the shape, the basic outline of the subject. So I'm seeing a little bit of the top of the ellipse, and it drapes down at angles below that. Once you get your outline laid out on the page, apply a ground behind your subject matter, and that's used with holding the charcoal on its side, and we'll get a dark field around this nice, brightly lit fabric so that it really pops from the page. Nice gray ground all the way around, light coating. Fingers to smooth out some of the texture. Some of those tight spots I'll have to go in with the charcoal again to get that corner. All right. For dramatic effect, that way we have good contrast, and this cloth really stands out off the page. That dark ground behind it. Just smooth out best you can. With your hand, your blending stump, if you have your chamois or a piece of scrap cotton you can use, your fingers can be just as effective to get some of these rough lines. Change direction, add more material to mask them. Okay. Then we're going to work in our darker values, just the basic shapes of them. Myself a little reference to where this ellipse is on the top. All right, so I have a dark shape here. It's a little smaller. Fill it in. And Pretty pronounced dark shape up top. That kind of fades off into a line. So we'll just put a little bit of value there. My next darkest shape happens in this space. Probably the biggest one I have. Okay, just laying out the shapes. Bright and small shape here. Finer on top. And broadens at the bottom. Small highlight in there, reserve that space. These are my largest, and I have a couple smalls. On this side. And those are my dark shapes. Just flattening them out a little bit so there isn't so many linear marks. I also need to soften the edge of them. Most of these edges are soft gradations, so I'm going right up against them and working them toward the bright shape. If I go into that bright shape too much, I'll just pull in with an eraser to brighten and define them better. This is overall my darkest side, so I really need to impact these to get them a little bit darker than what I have on the other side. So I'm going to go in and darken these considerably. My light is from, shining on the subject this way. Gonna get them to pop a little bit more. And still just using the Vine charcoal. I haven't switched to the compressed at all just yet. Whole side's going to take on light to define my edge a little better here. And I'm working from this side of the page to that side of the page because my hand rests on the paper. That way I don't ruin any of the detail that I put in here while I'm working on the side. So just getting that edge to be more defined by going with a darker value right up against the fabric. All right. This is going to need an overall darkening too, so I'm just going to muddy up my finger a little bit from the ground that's surrounding my piece and just add some of this gray onto these surface planes. Again, to highlight that this is going to be where I'm going to reserve the white of the page. Top here, this is a darker edge. Overall. Just follow these beautiful shapes. My edge isn't so dark on this side because it's my lit side, so I'm not going to carry this shadow over too far. So always referencing your source, your still life study. And this will have to go a little bit darker too. Depth of its crease, but I'm not going to go over it with all one value because it does change as it meets this curve. All right, starting to take form on this side. This back a little bit. Set it back with a dark value. Now this is the edge of my fabric. So I'm going to back it with this darker value that I'm seeing behind it to get that lift of that bright edge, receiving all that great light. And it just gets softer at the bottom. It won't get too crazy in there, and it stays bright up top. Now this value on this side creeps over gradually, so I just need to get some lighter tones over this whole shape. Not too wide of a page. A little bit of a gray. And carry this over a little darker too, and larger. Some volume here. All right, guys. I'll bring this in and show you how it went. This was all with fine charcoal. Your last step, so just looking at this side right now, for the sake of time, this is my darkest shadow, so I'm just going to go in and emphasize the depth and darkness of this shadow with a little compressed. And it's not over the whole shadow, it's only peekabooing at the closest hollows of the crease that's in here. Just putting a little bit of this drop of that dark value. You can see that you get a rise from those bright values. They really lift off the page when you're throwing in that contrast with that really dark value in there. Anywhere you see your deepest creases. And I'm actually going to add more drama around the piece with this compressed charcoal so that my edge is hard, sharp, because this material you can get a really hard line a little bit more easily than with your fine charcoal. Kind of breaks off and has a softer line because this media is more dense and solid. You're able to get a harder line backing that edge of that bright, bright, beautiful value that you've retained of the white of the page, working on the white paper. All right. If you find you have gotten any of your values too dark, you just come in with your eraser and you should be able to pick up, brighten, to mimic the shapes of the bright values that are on the fabric. Whether they're fine or wide, sharp or subtle. All right. Happy drawing today. Looking forward to seeing your pieces in class next time we meet. Thanks, guys. I hope my tutorial is helpful.